Hello, everybody. Welcome to the jungle. My name's Evan. I'm here with Zach, and we are back after a couple of weeks. We're going to be giving you guys our 2025 Bengals season predictions. We're going to go through each game and predict how we think it's going to go, and see if we think the Bengals are going to have a successful season or a unsuccessful season. Without further ado, we will dive into our predictions, and we'll start with Week 1 at Cleveland. Week 1, Zach, how do you think that game's going to go?
All right, so at the Browns, week 1, Sunday at 1:00. Um, everybody on here knows how week 1 usually goes for the Bengals. Um, and especially with it being in Cleveland against the Browns, uh, I just I, I'm just remembering the last time we opened the season in Cleveland and a monsoon, and Joe Burrow was still injured from his calf injury, and it was just an absolute disaster of a football game. that was that was that was that was just like Bengals Browns football, so in my personal opinion, despite Zach Taylor's best efforts. And I don't really know if this is even as much, I don't know if this is really going to as much go on him and the team as it has in past years, but I'm going to chalk this one up as an L. And that might be a hot take or surprising to some people because of how terrible the Browns are. But, to be honest with you, I think the Browns still have a pretty solid defense. I really think the only question mark there is, the offensive line is still rough, but quarterback is the big thing for the Browns. But I think they've still got a solid defense. And, you know, it's the Browns' strengths have kind of played into our weaknesses in recent years. And I don't really know that has changed much because we've done nothing to our team at all. So I'm going to chalk this one up as an L. The Browns usually have our number, and, we'll see. But like I said, I don't think it's going to be quite as much on Zach Taylor and just the Bengals. I I just think it's one of those weird things in the NFL, like the Miami Dolphins always beat Tom Brady's Patriots, It's just one of those weird things that the Browns have with the Bengals. But week 1, this is an L.
I have them winning this game, surprisingly.
I hope.
Um, yes, it is Cleveland, and yes, it's week 1. And if we learned anything from last year's week 1, they can lose to any team, even if that's the bottom feeder in the NFL, which the Browns are projected to be. So there's a very real chance that they do lose this game. And if they do, I can't say I'm going to be completely shocked. I'm going to be disappointed, but I'm not going to be completely shocked. But I do think that playing in the preseason, I think, has helped. Zach said earlier today that he feels a lot more confident in the team at like today at this point than he did at this point last year, because Burrow's been able to, play. He's got hit a little bit. He's kind of already in game mode, and he's had one of his best training camps in his career. And then, just having the starters playing, kind of getting those meaningful reps, I think is going to be big. And I just think, obviously, defensively, the Browns are still the Browns, and they still have Myles Garrett, and they're still going to pose a problem. But I just think offensively, the Browns are just so horrendous offensively, and I do not think that Joe Flacco is going to be any good this year. Their starting running back week 1 is probably going to be Jerome Ford, who I'm not super scared of, but I guess if the
Hey,
Bengals
he's a former
defense
Bearcat, all right?
he's good, but I'm not like, but I guess, in the preseason we've gotten gashed by Will Shipley and Chris Rodriguez, so maybe I should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it'll be similar to the Browns team last year, where, offensively they couldn't do a single thing offensively. And I think that's going to be the case again. And yes, the Bengals defense, it will probably still suck, but I think they'll do just enough to get by the Browns. But I think, it's going to be a low scoring, tough, muddy AFC North game. But I do think the Bengals are going to squeak by. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if they go into Cleveland and suck like they did last
Drop
year
an egg.
against the Patriots. Week 2, there is the home opener against the Jags. It's a orange out, right?
Yeah,
Wearing
yeah,
all oranges.
they're opening in orange again, I think is what the thing is. So that's gonna be really cool. I'm a really big fan of the all orange uniforms. I think they're pretty sweet. So yeah, home opener, all orange. Jungle's gonna be rocking in orange. Uh I have this one as a win. I think that they're going to get back on track here. I think the Jags are personally. I'm not out on the Jags. You know, I've been high on the Jags for the past couple of years, and they've kind of let me down. But you know, they made some changes and stuff, so I'm not out on them yet. But I just think that with Liam Cohen going into his second game on the road in a decently hostile environment. Um, they're still trying to get stuff figured out. So I'm gonna give this one to the Bengals. I do think that the them playing in the preseason and Burrow having his best camp and stuff, I think that that is going to begin to show. It's just gonna be tough, sledding week one. But I'm gonna give them this one here. I think they're gonna take the Jags down.
Yeah, I think they're going to beat the Jags too. I do like the Jags, and I like what they did this offseason, bringing in Liam Cohen. But I do think his second game as an NFL head coach with that offense, I do think it's going to take a little bit of time. Um, but I think like pretty much just echoing everything you said. Them playing in the preseason, I think that helps them get a little bit more ready, hopefully. And then Orange out home opener, that's going to be a pretty loud, hostile crowd, hopefully. So, I think it'll be a good game. But I think the Bengals will edge that one out. So I have the Bengals starting off 2-0, which is like unheard
Okay.
of.
All right.
So
Oh,
I
I
don't know if
do
that's
want
going to
to.
happen.
Yeah, I do want to preference though that the predictions that I'm using right now are in my opinion, the more realistic predictions of a fan that is completely broken. So that take that into consideration when you listen to my picks.
Then they have a tough one at Minnesota week 3.
Yeah, this is where I think the tough part of the season. Honestly, I think this is going to be the tough part of the whole season for him. I think that this stretch of the next 5 weeks is going to be really, really brutal on the Bengals. So I'm really hoping that they can, get out of this 5 week stretch with at least two, maybe three wins. I think that'd be huge. But this is the toughest part of the season, in my personal opinion, for this next 5 weeks here. So going to Minnesota, this is going to be an L. The Vikings came out of nowhere and won 13 games last year. So they were like insane out of nowhere. And I had the Vikings winning 3 games last season in our preseason predictions. So they just came out of nowhere and smashed that with Sam Darnold under center. And personally, um, Kevin O'Connell is going to get JJ McCarthy right. I think JJ McCarthy probably brings more to the table than Sam Darnold does. So I think the Vikings are still going to be a pretty good team this year. They might take some lumps a little bit with, essentially a rookie quarterback, but I think they're going to beat the Bengals here with a horrible defense in Minnesota.
Yeah, I think Minnesota's going to win this one too. In Minnesota, yes, it'll be JJ's third NFL game ever, but like you said, if we learned anything from last year, it doesn't matter what quarterback Kevin O'Connell has, he's going to make it work. And they won 13 or 14 games last year, and a big part of that was because of Darnold's resurgence. And yeah, I think if anyone can get JJ McCarthy right, it's going to be him. Plus, their defense under Brian Flores is one of the best in the league, probably top 5 in the league. So that poses a big problem. And then yeah, I mean, they still have Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison, I don't think will be at this game because he'll still be
No, this is the
suspended.
last one.
But yeah, I just think it's going to be one of those games where their defense is significantly better than ours, and that's going to make a big difference. Plus, going to Minnesota, they're pretty rowdy fan base down there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, So I think this is going to be a tough one, and I agree with you. I think this is the toughest 4 to 5 game stretch that they have in their entire schedule. So I'm very interested to see. You know, I feel like we'll learn a lot about this team based on how they get through the first 6 weeks of the season.
For sure.
Um, but I think Minnesota's just going to be too much for them week 3 just because of that defense. And even if JJ McCarthy struggles, I think that would be really the only opportunity that we would have to win it is if just JJ is just, still kind of figuring it out and it's not clicking, then the offense is just pretty useless.
Yeah.
Um, I think that would be like if you were to argue that they would win, that would probably be why. But I just think with that defense and Kevin O'Connell and that offense last year, I think that'll translate again. So I think this will be a tough game.
Yeah. I mean, if JJ McCarthy just like hands us the ball 2 or 3 times, then we might be okay. But yeah,
Yeah,
this can be a tough one.
yeah. And then week 4, Monday night at Denver. It's another tough one, another
Yeah.
AFC contender.
Yeah. I mean, this is a tough game, man. This was a tough one to pick. I mean, going to Denver on Monday night, Mile High. The Broncos are a really good football team. We saw that last year with Bo Nix as a rookie. I think that they're going to be better this year. I think they got a really good defensive back piece in the first round. I think that I've heard Bo Nix has been improved a lot and playing very well in preseason, I think is what I've seen. So yeah, I'm pretty high on this Broncos squad. I think they're going to be a really good team this year. Um, but the Bengals, depending on the week, they can sometimes find a way just to get things done somehow. Um, and I would love to see that happen on this Monday night game. I believe we're going white Bengal in this one. I think.
Probably
I'm
something
not
like that.
totally sure, but I think we are. But like I said, realistic picks from a fan that got really, really heartbroken last year. I got this one as an L. I think the Broncos are a really good football team, and I think that this is just going to be a really hard game at Mile High against a really good football team.
Yeah, I have the Broncos winning this one as well. We saw last year when these two duked it out at the end of the season. It was a super electric game, and T. Higgins really carried that game. And the defense made a couple of stops,
Okay.
but yeah, I think that, I think Bo Nix is going to improve year 2. That offense got better, adding Evan Ingram, adding RJ Harvey. They brought back everybody on that offensive line, which is one of the best in the league. And then the defense, which is also one of the best in the league, like you said, they added Chade Barron in the first round, and added Dre Greenlaw, Thais Fuanga. They added a bunch of pieces on that defense to make it a really, really good defense. And you add that with Sean Payton, who's a great head coach, and then Bo Nix, who had a really good rookie season, and that offense improved. I think Denver's going to be a legitimate team, and I think they're going to be a tough one to stop. And especially in Denver Monday night, there's a lot of pressure there. So I think Denver will take this one, but yeah, it's like you said, I do feel like and I've said this for years now, with Joe and Jamar, they're in every game. With Joe, Jamar, and T, they're
Yeah.
in every game. But like we saw, like with the Broncos last year, I mean, they ended up winning in overtime. So
Yeah.
um, you can make arguments for me for the Bengals to win a lot of these games. But it's just, yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat you are, where I'm more cynically looking at it now than I was a
Yeah.
year or two ago.
Yeah.
But I think the Broncos are going to be really good. I think they're going to be a legitimate playoff team, and I think they're going to be too much for the Bengals week 4.
I will say though that I think if this game was late in the season, I would personally take the Bengals in this game.
Yeah,
So
because the
that
Bengals are always at their best late in the season.
Yeah, so that kind of plays a part in my picks throughout these first really half of the season too. Some of these tougher games, I think if they were at the end of the season, I would probably lean Bengals, but yeah, I think that Broncos are going to be a little too much this early, week 4.
Week 5, they start NFC North play. At home against the Lions the Sunday at 4 o'clock. So unfortunately, they're playing the best division in the NFC, which is
Yeah.
fun. But how do you think they'll fare against the Detroit Lions?
This is yeah, this is another one that I have chalked up as an L. That's 3 straight for them, and it's just it's the Lions. They're a really good team. I mean, I know that there's a lot of up in the air about them because they lost both their coordinators, but they're bringing pretty much all their players back. So I think the Lions are still going to be a very good team. I mean, I don't necessarily know if they're going to win 14 games, but I think they're going to be still a top team in the NFL. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Even with this being at home, I just think it's too much. The Lions are just really good, and we didn't do enough to fix our team. Personally, I don't think this game kind of gives me vibes of the Eagles game from last year, where it's just like we're just kind of totally outgunned. I mean, they just have a better team from top to bottom than we do. I think, considering both sides of the ball. You know, so I'll take the Lions in this one, but I do think this will be a fun one. If the Bengals show up to play, I think this will be a fun one. If we don't, it's going to be like that Eagles game last year. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, the Lions, I mean, they did lose Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, which I do think will affect them. But like you said, they're returning everybody. They're still an elite football team. And Dan Campbell's shown himself to be a great head coach. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Lions as well. So their Bengals dropped 3 in a row for me, getting to 2-3. But yeah, it just that really, really sucks that the NFL scheduled us against the NFC North.
Yeah.
Like that is just the worst.
We're playing the AFC North and the NFC North. Both conferences are known for being some of the best in the game.
Yeah. And then you throw in like the Bills and the Broncos in there and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so that's not fun. But yeah, I do think that this game has the potential to be a fun one if the Bengals show up, and if by week 5 we hopefully get a look at if this defense is improved at all or not. And if they've improved slightly even, then maybe, they have more of a chance. Um, but yeah, I just think the Lions are such a good team, and um, that it's going to be tough for them to overcome that. The only thing would be, Jared Goff tends to not play his best when he's not playing in a dome, so
That is true.
maybe that could help out a little bit.
Mhm.
But I mean, they just have so many weapons. They have on offense. They have, I mean, Jameer Gibbs, David Montgomery, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, and they still have a really good offensive line, even with losing a couple of guys on that line. So, and then they're bringing back Aiden Hutchinson back and all those guys. So, I just think it's going to be tough for us to beat a team like that talented because, yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, they're just from top to bottom, they're just a better team than we are. And
Yeah,
then,
I would agree. But
yeah,
might be at this game. So
maybe
look for us there if we can get some tickets.
we'll see. That would be ideal.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully they don't lose then if we're there.
Yeah.
Because when
Hey,
we've been there, they've done
yeah,
pretty well.
I was just gonna say that. So if we show up, we might pull out the win.
We were at the Broncos game last year and
Mhm.
won that one.
Chiefs game a few years ago.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
So
But
hopefully if we do go, maybe we have to go so then they'll win.
yeah, we might have to so we can stop this losing spiral.
Yeah. Week 6, they traveled to Lambeau Field and played the Green Bay Packers. How do you think that one's gonna
Yeah. Speaking of losing spiral,
go?
I got us losing this one too. I'm in I'm in the same boat as I am the past 3 weeks. I think the Packers are a really good football team. I mean, I think that they got better. I would say this offseason they added Matthew Golden, who I think is gonna. I think Matthew Golden's going to be a pretty good piece for him. I've heard good things from preseason so far, so I like this Packers team. I'm a big Jordan Love guy. I've been on Jordan Love's train for a while now, so you know, at Lambeau, Yeah, I'm taking the Packers here, man. I just think that I I don't think we did enough to fix our defense. Or team in general. I mean, as you know, I we've talked about it at length. We didn't fix any of our issues really. I mean, we didn't fix the defense or the offensive line. So, I mean, I don't think we got enough here. So, give me the Packers.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that we see eye to eye on these last 4 weeks because I also have
Yeah.
them losing against Green Bay. I mean, this is just such a tough stretch. I mean, you have four teams that I very well think will be in the playoffs this year,
Yeah.
um, and going to Lambeau as it is very tough to play at. And I know, I mean, with like you said, bringing in Matthew Golden, they still have Josh Jacobs, they still have Jordan Love. I think will improve. Matt LaFleur is one of the best head coaches in the league, and that defense, being as young as they are, we saw last year that they were very good. And so I just think, yeah, I mean, this is just a brutal 4 weeks
Yeah.
that we've been dealt. And so, like I said earlier, I think if the Bengals can scave through this stretch of 4 games decent, I think that'll show a lot about the outlook of this team heading for the rest of the season because we know that they'll after that week 10 bye, the Bengals will probably be on fire, just because that's how they always finish really strong. So they just have to not
Exactly.
finish as 1-7 or whatever. Um, and then they might have a fighting chance. But it doesn't help that they play the Vikings, Broncos, Lions, and the Packers all back to back.
Yeah. I mean,
So yeah, I think I have them pretty much losing every game in the NFC North. So
I have
um,
I have us sitting at 1-5 right now.
I have us at 2-4, so not much better. So we broke I in my prediction we broke the 0-2 string, but then we lost the next 4 games. So we're back right back at where we were before.
What do you think the reactions are gonna be if we truly do start out 1-5 going into the, night game against the
If
Steelers?
if if we start out 1-5 heading into week 7 going against the Steelers, I would think that majority of Bengals fans would be calling for Zach Taylor to be fired.
Do you think he would
And
be though?
I have no idea. Probably not because, Marvin Lewis stayed for a lot longer than he needed to.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say they would call for obviously, Duke Tobin and those guys, but Duke Tobin's been there for 50 years or whatever, and nothing's
Yeah, he
happened.
ain't
So
leaving.
I might not even. So don't even waste your breath. But I think the fans would be pretty upset just because it would be the same thing that we talked about last year. You have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase in their primes, and it would just be another wasted season.
Yeah, you're just
Um,
wasting prime like, 2 prime Hall of Fame players.
yeah. So, but I mean, if they can, let's look at it for the glass half full. If JJ, was kind of struggling and they somehow beat the Vikings, and then maybe catch the Lions on a bad day or something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if they went 2-2 in that stretch, but I also wouldn't be shocked if, like we said, they went 0-4.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
um,
I
it's
think
like,
you can go either way.
yeah, it's like you said, it really just depends what type of team steps out on Sunday.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but now we got our first, or I guess second, AFC North game at home against the Steelers week 7. I think that's gonna
So I think that this is definitely a flip of the coin type of game just because, it's the Steelers, it's an AFC North game. The Steelers have a really good defense just like the Browns do. So I think this is a flip of the coin. Um, but I'm gonna give it to them. I'm gonna give it to the Bengals here. They'll stop their 4-game losing streak. um on it's a night game in the jungle.
Thursday night.
I'm just thinking coming off of a 4-game losing streak, like I think this would be a situation where if they don't win this game, like, there's gonna be some pretty
You
tough
chalk up the
conversations,
season.
I think. Because if you go on a 5-game losing streak and you go into what would that be? Week 8, 1-6. I mean, you're done. So I think that this is honestly once again, the Bengals put themselves in a make or break must win situation. But I do think that they will get this one done. And I also think the Steelers are not very good. I think their defense is good, but I think their offense is um just like vile. So um I think that this is the game that the Bengals have to win. So I'll give it to them at their place on a night game.
Yeah, I think in our scenario, this is a must-win game for them to keep the season potentially alive. So I have them winning this one because I agree with what you said. The Steelers got a lot better on defense, and they've always had a good defense. But offensively, I'm still out on Aaron Rodgers. DK Metcalf, I think, is okay.
Yeah.
So the offense doesn't really like scare me that much. So I think the Bengals will do enough to win that game. Um, and snap their 4-game losing streak. Um, and then they had the week 8 at home again against the New York Jets.
This is going to be a win, I think. I don't think the Jets are very good. Um, the last time the Jets were good was like Mark Sanchez. So I think that this is one of those games where it's like, I mean,
You
this
better
this is
win
one
this
of this
one.
is this is one of those games where it's like they're they're gonna probably win this game. Like, there's not really any reason they shouldn't. So, especially with we're getting into the thick of the season here, so I think that they're gonna start picking it up around here. So I think they're gonna win this one.
Yeah, the Jets are terrible. So I think they're going to win too. They brought in Justin Fields. I don't know how he's going to play. Offensively, they have nothing outside of Garrett Wilson. So yeah, they're going to be a bad football team. So the Bengals should win this one.
Yeah.
And then week 9, the last of the NFC North opponents, they play the Bears at home.
So we're sitting at in my scenario, we're sitting at one, two, three, and what is that? Uh,
5.
3 and 5, 3 and 5. So, um, yeah, Bears at home. This is a game that I think could go either way because I don't really know what to expect from Ben Johnson's Bears. I was really high on him, but then I had heard like they weren't doing super great, like in training camp and stuff. So I don't really know, but I'm sure that there's going to be kinks worked out here. But I think that this is just going to be another situation where the Bengals need to win. And I think that they're going to get this one done because I mean, I think that personally the Bears are probably still the worst NFC North team. So I think this is a winnable game. Um, I think it'll actually be a pretty good game though. I think that both teams are going to probably, play pretty well. And I think these are two decent football teams. So I think it'll be a good game, but I think I'm going to give this one to the Bengals.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think in this scenario it'll be another must-win game. And I do think that the Bears hopefully will hit their stride at this point heading in week 9. But I've heard mixed reports about Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
And it's never a guarantee that a great coordinator, becomes a great head coach.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I just think with kind of, in this scenario, um, at home against a young team that has a new head coach, I feel like the Bengals should take care of business. I
Yeah.
don't think that the Bears defense is necessarily like great. So I think that Burrow and Chase and Higgins and Chase Brown, all those guys should be able to do well. And yeah, I think they're objectively the worst team in the NFC North. So they'll finish 1-4 or 1-3 in the NFC North, which is not too horrible. So heading into the Week 10 bye, I have the Bengals at 5-4, and you
And
have
I have them
them.
at 4 and 5.
You have them at 4-5.
Yeah.
Then Week 11 they head into Pittsburgh. How do you think that's gonna go?
So, I think that this is a tough one. I think that coming off the bye, I think that we are going to accomplish a feat we have not accomplished in a while. I think we'll sweep the Steelers. I think we'll go to Pittsburgh and we'll take them down. Same reasons we just discussed with the other Steelers game. But I also think that this is the point in the season where the Bengals start to pick up speed a little bit. So I think that we're going to come out ready to play out of the bye, and I think we'll sweep them. Something we have not done against the Steelers for a while. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt here.
Yeah, I do agree that after the bye, especially this late in the season, that's when the Bengals usually get their stride. But I do think going into Pittsburgh, and I do think Pittsburgh is a better team than they were last year. Um, so I think that I think they're going to split. That's why I have Pittsburgh winning this one. Um, and just because I think Pittsburgh improved, and when's the last time we swept the Steelers? That was probably what, 21.
Yeah, I think so.
So um, so yeah, I think we split against them. And it might be we win at their place week 11 and they beat us week 7 or whatever it is, but I
Mhm.
think we split.
Yeah, that's fair. So we're both at 5-5 now, right?
I'm at, yes, 5-5.
All right, 5-5.
Then we go back at home, week 12 against the Patriots, the team that, in hindsight, ruined our season last year. We ruined our own season, but
Yeah, we did.
uh, how do you think they're going to do against the much improved Patriots week 12?
Yeah, I think this is another tough game to pick because I think the Patriots. I'm pretty high on the Patriots this year. I think Drake May played really well at the end of the year last year. I think they got him, a slightly better offensive line. Shavion Henderson's a stud, so they've got a great weapon back there. Um, I think that they still need to drastically improve their receiver room, but this is going to be a tough game for the Bengals, I think. Um, so it pains me because we're out of the bye here, but I have the Patriots winning this game. So that brings us to five
Five
and
and six.
six. 5-6.
I have the Bengals squeaking this one out. I do think it'll be a close game because I'm with you. I think the Patriots improved a lot this offseason. I think your two Drake May with Mike Vrabel and Trayvon Henderson and all those guys, I think they're going to be good. They added a lot on defense as well. So I do think it'll be a tough game, but I think this is where we see the Bengals start to hit their stride, and coming off of a Week 11 loss in my book, um, they beat a Patriots team that is not there yet, but almost.
Yeah, yeah,
And then we got another tough three game stretch, Thursday night in Baltimore against the Ravens. What is this, the third straight time we've played the Ravens on a
yeah,
Thursday night?
yeah. They keep giving us Thursday night games in Baltimore. However, this is Thanksgiving night, so I am pumped about this.
Mm, that would
I
be
am
awesome.
so excited that this is the Thanksgiving night game. Like, just genuinely thrilled. I'm really looking forward to watching this game, but it's at Baltimore, and we really struggle against the Ravens recently. So I'm going to give this one to the Ravens, as much as it really sucks to say on Thanksgiving night. I think the Ravens are going to pull this one out, probably in another shootout, and in a game that we have every chance to win, but don't probably, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think my excitement will also be thwarted by the Ravens on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, if we saw last year, they lost. The Bengals went toe to toe with the Ravens and lost both of those games by a touchdown or less.
Yeah.
Um, but I do think that the Ravens improved this year. I think they improved on defense. And their offense is, still going to be pretty good with Lamar and Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers and those guys. But I do think they made improvements defensively, drafting Malachi Starks and bringing in a couple other guys. So I think defensively they're going to be improved. And yeah, I think this is just going to be another game where it's back and forth, and it's going to come down to the last, one of the last plays. And if the Ravens have the ball at the end of the game, I'm expecting a loss.
Yeah.
So,
Gotta
yeah,
get with the defense.
yeah. So, but I feel like with the Ravens, I could, if last year was anything, we can still hang with them. It's just we just have to make the plays down the stretch to push us through the edge. But
Yeah, for
I
sure.
could see us like splitting with them. I wouldn't rule that out of the question.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
think yeah.
but I think we would have to play two really good games.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and it doesn't get much easier after that because week 14 we head to Buffalo to
Yeah.
play the Bills.
Uh, yeah, so where are we at now? I'm at 5 and 7. I'm at 5 and
Heading
7.
heading into Buffalo, I am also 5-7.
Okay. So, um, yeah, this is a brutal game, dude. The Bills are a really good football team, and it's at Buffalo towards the end of the year. They're gonna be playing their best football as well. I think the Bills are gonna win this game. This is gonna be another fun one, I think, just like Thanksgiving game is gonna be. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. I think it'll probably be a pretty high scoring game. Um, two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, you know, going toe to toe here, but I just think that the Bills just once again have the better top to bottom team, and I think it's really just due to our defense. We didn't fix it, so I think the Bills are going to take this one. So we're at 5 and 8.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. I do think that, this three stretch of games, two against the Ravens, one against the Bills, I do think those are winnable games, but it hinges on, just what team shows up and if the defense improves at all. Because
Yeah.
if we've seen anything, the Bengals can beat good teams in the back end of the season. We've seen
Oh, for
that
sure. Yeah.
before.
Mhm.
And we've beaten the Bills before. We've beaten the Ravens before. But those both of those teams are probably in most people's top three for Super Bowl contenders in the AFC.
Yeah.
And so I do think that being in Buffalo and being with, I'm sure Josh Allen will have another great season. Um, I do think it's going to be tough. But, if they play well, and we've had Josh Allen in the Bills number at times,
Mhm.
um, I'm not going to rule out a loss, but I think personally in this, I think that we lose. But I feel like these three stretch of games, I can see a path where we win a couple of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but like you said, it just depends if the defense is good or not, and what
uh
type of team shows up. So
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think that they're winnable. It's just it really depends on the defense if
yeah,
if we if they show up to play or not.
yeah, which they didn't last year.
No, they did not.
Then week 15, the Ravens travel to Cincinnati and play us at home.
Oh yeah. So I do agree with what you said, the last Ravens turnaround game. I think we're gonna split with them. So I've got the Bengals winning this game at home. Starting to kind of start that end of the season peak that we usually see. So I think that the Bengals are going to win this game. We'll split the Ravens and yeah, I think it'll be another great game, but I think we'll finally pull it out.
I think division-wise, I think I have them doing exactly what they did last year.
Yeah.
I have the Ravens beating us.
Okay.
I have them sweeping us because
Okay.
I think the Ravens got a lot better, and I genuinely think that they're the best from top to bottom, best AFC team. Um, and so I think that it's just going to be tough, to beat them, and it all just stems back to the defense. I
It
mean,
does. It really does.
our offense can play with anybody. Our offense is the best in the league. But if the defense can't stop a revolving door, then they're not going to be able to stop Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I have the Ravens splitting, but like I said earlier, those are both winnable games, and I'm sure they'll go down to the wire and be possession, and something will happen, and that very easily will probably dictate the game, but I have us getting swept by the Ravens.
Yeah, I think that that's another brutal 3-game stretch. I think all 3 of them are games that we could win, and they're all 3 games we could lose. So,
Yeah. But I think it's a little bit easier to end the season. Week 16 in Miami. How do you think that's gonna go?
I'm excited for this one. It's at Miami. It's a night game. Uh, I think the Bengals are going to win this one. Like I said with the Ravens game last week, I think it's, they're going to start peaking here towards the end of the season like we usually see. And the Dolphins usually hit a steep decline at the end of the season. So I think that we're meeting them at the right time. I personally don't think the Dolphins are really that good of a team. So I think the Bengals are going to get a good win in South Beach at night.
Yeah, it's funny, like, the Bengals and Dolphins season trajectories are, like, opposite.
They
Like, the
are, yeah.
Dolphins always start off really good and then plummet, and the Bengals start off horrible and get towards the end of the year.
Which
And I would
I
probably
would
much rather
appreciate.
be the latter. Much rather be in the
Yeah.
Bengals position.
I would
Um,
rather that, but it would be nice if we could just, like, start out not as horrible,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
But I agree with you. I don't think the Dolphins are gonna be that great of a team this year. I think Mike McDaniel's on the hot seat. I think, Tua, you can never tell if he's healthy or not. I think Tyreek Hill's checked out mentally,
Yeah,
and that defense has really never been good as long as Mike McDaniel's been there. So, I think the Bengals take this one, and I think that starts their track of, putting together some wins towards the end of the season.
getting some
So
heat.
I do have them winning in South Beach. Then week 17 on a Saturday, they
Okay.
play the Arizona Cardinals at home.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun game as well. Nice Saturday game at the end of the season. I'm not super high on the Cardinals. I think Marvin Harrison's gonna have a better year this year, and obviously Trey McBride's a stud, but I think this is another game the Bengals are just gonna win. It's kind of like the Jets game where it's kind of just like I don't really see any reason why we shouldn't win this game, especially with it being week 17 at home. So I'll take the Bengals here, and we're at 8-8.
I agree with everything you just said. Um, I have the Bengals winning as well. I think that there will be some improvements from the Cardinals, but I don't think that they're going to be that great of a team. And
Yeah.
I don't. I think the Bengals are still better than them, and uh, being hot towards the end of the season. So I also have them at 8-8. So I think
Nice.
so. This last game will determine if we see eye to eye or not. Um, so we end the season much like we started the season, week 18 against the Browns, but this one's at home.
All right. Yes, we are hosting the Browns on January 4th.
Who I'm
Um,
hoping are, like, playing either Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders and are absolutely sucking.
yeah, yeah. I think that that's probably going to happen. I got the Bengals winning this one, so I think we round up the season with 4 straight wins. Um, we talked about the Browns earlier. We don't need to get into that again, but I just think that I think we put ourselves on the cusp of the playoffs once again. But I think honestly, once again, it's really the same story we saw last year, where we put ourselves in too big of a hole at the beginning of the season. I mean, I have us going. Well, I have
1
us
and
at
5.
I have us at 1-5 at the start of the season. So I think that we fight back and we win. We win some big games. We lose some big games. I don't see this year being any different than last year. I don't think we made any changes to any of our. Like, I don't think we changed anything. I think this is pretty much the exact same Bengals team, just with a couple different names. Unfortunately, so to my dismay, we didn't fix the defense or the offensive line. So I think that we're just going to see a very similar season. Um, could we get into the playoffs at 9-8? I personally don't think so. I think we're going to be right on the cusp like we were last year, but I think the AFC just has too many good football teams to go 9-8 and make the playoffs. So unfortunately, that's where I've got us sitting another wasted, disappointing year because our front office sucks.
Yeah, I have them finishing on a 3-game win streak, beating the Browns week 18, but yeah, just slightly missing the playoffs again at 9-8. And basically echoing everything you said, I don't think the changes that they made defensively are gonna be big enough to, put them into, Super Bowl or playoff contention. Because at this rate, I don't even know if Transition's gonna play week 1. Um, so there's that, and then I mean, I know it's preseason, but the defense has looked just as bad, if not worse, in the 2 preseason games they played.
And keep in
Um,
mind, those are our starters minus Trey
yeah,
Hendrickson against most of these teams, starters for 1 drive and then
and
2.
then backups. Yeah,
So, good.
but I don't wanna, like, overreact to the preseason, but, I mean, we've echoed this pretty much every time we talk about the Bengals is that the front office didn't do much. They didn't improve the team, and they're running out basically the same team, like you said, with different names.
Yeah.
Um, so I think a 9-8 season is definitely in play. I think the Vegas odds is 9.5, so Vegas, like, pretty much agrees with us.
Yeah.
I think, like, the ceiling of this team would be probably 10 or 11 wins. I think if they, if the defense is improved, I think they could, probably push, depending on how improved, they could probably push that 10 to 12, I think would be like the ceiling for this team. If, maybe they can steal one
Mhm.
of those early NFC North games or steal one against Buffalo or Baltimore. Um, but I think it's just going to be another season where, the offense is phenomenal and puts up a ton of numbers, but I just think that the defense is still lacking. So I think
Yeah.
that's going to be the big problem until they end up fixing it.
If and when, hopefully. But,
Yeah.
yeah, I would agree with that. I think our ceiling is probably that 10 to 12 range. I think if everything goes right, Al Golden just does a masterclass with this defense, and our defensive guys actually, like, some of our younger guys take that next step and actually do perform. I think we could be talking 10 to 12, and that's a good season. I mean, 10 to 12, that gets us into the playoffs. That puts us in a position to potentially make some noise because Joe Burrow in the playoffs is somebody you don't want to see. But, um, I think that, like, I think we're betting on more of the realistic thing. I think realistically we're gonna get 8 to 9 wins. I don't think we did anything. We've harped on it. We've harped on it too much to this point, and nothing has changed. We didn't fix anything. So realistically, you're looking at 8 to 9. Um, Magical season, you're looking at 10 to 12. I think.
Yeah. We'll see what happens here in a couple weeks once week 1 starts. Hopefully, this season goes a little bit better than last year, and we don't come on every at the end of every week and just be like, well, we lost another one, and just repeat ourselves the whole time. But
Because there's
you know,
nothing new. Like every time it's the same thing. Like every time we get on and we lose, it's the same
yeah,
thing. It's just like, oh, our defense is terrible. We didn't fix anything in the offseason. We can't it's just like we're wasting Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase's prime, which we are. It's just, it's the same crap.
yeah. Well, before we came on here, we were just talking before we started recording, and we were like, should we even talk about Trey Hendrickson? And we were like, probably not, because we talked about it at length, and nothing's really changed.
No,
So,
there's nothing different.
um, yeah, well, hopefully this season goes a little bit better than last. Obviously, we don't predict that happening, but let us know what you guys think the Bengals record is going to be. If you think that they're going to be a playoff team, or if you think they're going to, just miss the cut, or heck, maybe you think they're just going to be a terrible football team, and it's just going to be
That's
doomsday.
not out
But
of the question.
we'd love to hear what you guys think. So drop a comment down below and let us know. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and we will see you guys in the next one, hopefully before week 1.